Hi, guys, and
Hi.
welcome to Podcasts Full of Women. Jesus, take the wheel.
Wait, why is it? Just press play and stop playing.
Why? It's so quiet. Okay.
Is it?
No, it's not. It's not now.
What is happening? It's my hand.
Woo! Smooth as ever. Smooth as ever. Welcome to Podcast Full of Women. I'm Sarah Seeds.
And I'm Lindsay Elizabeth Hand.
Very good, Lindsay. Thank you for saying yes.
Sorry, I'm not wearing any makeup for this, and you can see all my spots and freckles, and I'm embracing it.
Linz, you gotta live your truth. And honestly, I put this on so early this morning again. I'm surprised it still is even on my face. So
No,
what up?
You look great, girl.
Thanks, girl.
I miss you so much.
I miss you too. What a time. What a time. I don't think we have seen each other physically since the summer.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And especially with everything going on, it's been really rough.
I know. What a tough week. And I feel like under normal circumstances, when some dumb shit would happen over the last 4 years of this presidency, like I would still get to see you in person for the podcast, and we'd have a drink and we'd get to like kind of talk it out and decompress. And I'm definitely really missing that this week.
I know. Like anything from just like hanging out, watching RuPaul's Drag Race, being creative, coming up with ideas. And, there's just, luckily we can do that with this. And I'm so glad we're doing this again, by the way.
Me too.
But yeah, it's been a really sobering week, and it makes it a lot harder to be disconnected like we are and not being able to be in the same room with people that you just want to give a hug to.
Yeah, 100%. I'm super excited for our guest today, though.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Dominique Nispiros. I've known her for years and years through the comedy scene. She's actually founding a new comedy theater called Circle Comedy.
Sounds amazing.
With some incredible people. I'm sure we'll go into it in the podcast. But also, she is such an advocate for change and awareness. She is so politically active, and she inspires me. And today I'm hoping that she can inspire our listeners to do some self-reflection, because we all can do that. And we all should be doing that. I think she's going to be an amazing, amazing person to interview. And
I'm really excited.
And I hope you guys enjoy.
And I'm really excited for you guys to listen to the interview. And I'm excited for you to keep your minds and hearts open and listen. And thank you so much. We loved having her. And you can listen to our interview, part 1, after the jump.
Hello, this is stand-up comedian Gianmarco Ceresi, and I always knew I was non-essential, but it hurt coming from the government. That's why I was so lucky to record my first special last year called Shelf Life, now available on Amazon Prime. It's actually the first time Jeff Bezos has ever lost money. But it's also now available as an album on Pandora. Fun fact, it was co-produced by the co-host of this podcast, Lindsay Elizabeth Hand. So please give it a listen, give it a thumbs up, and then get that vaccine, because I'm sick of coronavirus. I am so tired of washing my hands every time I poop.
Okay, guys, we're recording. We're back for our 51st episode with one of my favorite gals, Dominique Nispiros, who we met eons ago when she coached me for an improv team for Supernova.
Amazing.
Our paths continue to cross through UCB, and even on her honeymoon in Thailand, I forced her to go to a crocodile farm with me. So Dominique, thank you so much for being here with us.
Hello, thank you.
Zoom
so
claps.
It's great to see you again. After 700 years?
Mm-hmm. It was 700 years.
700 years ago.
And you still remained married, even though Lindsay jumped in on your honeymoon. Everything's cool?
Actually, I felt very lucky because I had like a person with local connections to be like, what to do, because we just like literally copy and pasted our friend's honeymoon. So it was actually fantastic. It's always really nice to see friends in other contexts and to have friends while traveling, because I mean, let me just say, like, it was our honeymoon, but we've been together for like 15 years, and this is not a joke. On one of our flights, I had window and he had aisle, and someone came and sat between us and was like, do you want to sit? And we're like, no. Like, we're good. Like, you don't need that. And this Thai woman was like, I'm fucking done with you. But like,
I live.
Oh my God. No, that was honestly such a funny time, because no one is ever in Thailand the same time we're in Thailand. And you guys were there, and we were like, super random. Do you want to go with us to our favorite crocodile farm where you can pay $1?
Your favorite crocodile farm. So there's multiple farms that you love? Or
yes, cool. There are. And
I know her love of crocodiles. I know all about that. I didn't know there were multiple farms in Thailand. That's amazing.
Honestly, it was my first crocodile experience. And I remember like getting the messages. We were like messaging on, it must have been Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so Lindsay wants to take us to a crocodile farm? And he was like, yes. It's like, we were like, okay. So we're clear. And it was wild. We also got like, okay, that whole farm, I was like, whoa, this is like an animal rights situation.
Oh yeah,
work.
It is. And maybe a human rights situation.
Oh, even better.
Honestly. And I remember you were saying that like you had an in because you had your family.
Or a crocodile.
I am a crocodile. No, yes, because Jean-Louis, his parents don't drive when they're in Thailand. It's just insane to drive. So they have a driver. His name is Samchai, and he's incredible. He's like 75 years old. He reads palms and is somewhat of a psychic. He keeps cat food and dog food in the trunk because he feeds stray animals everywhere he goes. He's a magical person. And when we go to this crocodile farm, I don't know why, but like they know Samchai, and we will get privileged access to like touch stuff because Samchai in exchange will read their palms and like tell their fortunes. So it's very strange, but like we get to like touch baby monkeys and hold baby chimps and all sorts of stuff because they love Samchai.
The whole trip to Thailand was really amazing, and it was so great to see y'all. And we also like they took us to UJL took us to the mall, and like
the malls are the best.
I just now when we talk about this trip, it sounds like we were in high school. It's like, yeah, we went to the mall and then we went to a zoo.
Yes, we saw alligators and we totally went to the mall. I live for that. That sounds fun.
The malls are incredible though, because they have these amazing food courts, and it's just a way that you can try so many different things, and all the food is amazing. It's like kind of hard to explain because it's not like a mall food court here. It's like almost like a grocery store mall food court where like you can buy stuff and take it home. You can buy a bunch of things and try it.
You mean there's not a Sbarro and a Orange Julius? Like
recently they have added like a Burger King. So they have added like some American things to it, but it didn't used to be like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I love malls, dude. And I would love to see that. I've never been to Thailand, so this is all really fascinating. And I want to go.
We totally lucked out because we had not planned literally any. I was like, we bought the tickets, we got reservations at a hotel, and the flights to and from, we had them figured out. But we didn't know that we were actually there for Loy Krathong, which is the Lunar New Year celebration. And it was like, I cried. Like,
it's where they take the lanterns and put them in the air, Sarah.
Oh my God, that's pretty. When is this?
November, end of the year, I think. It varies year to year. But
so in 4 years when I can travel, I'll be there.
But truly, it was like a very unexpected and beautiful trip. And it's such a beautiful place with like such rich culture and heritage, and the generosity there, it feels like so kind of genuine. Like I've traveled to a lot of different places, and sometimes there is that kind of like niceness that feels like almost like perfunctory, or like the way where people are nice to me when I'm looking at like browsing perfumes and they're like, are you gonna buy something or not, lady? Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely not.
Suck it.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great. And, one day soon we will all be
Heck yeah.
cleared and safer, and that we can continue to
Totally.
have excellent journeys.
Totally.
Yeah.
We have to see
Agreed.
some chai again. That's what it's all for.
I really need to go to Thailand. It's on my list, and I plan to travel a lot, so I'm in. Sign me up.
Roll out those vaccines and
Yeah.
keep safe.
Well, speaking of wanting to leave your own country,
Oh.
whoa, what a transition. That was kudos
Was
to
good.
me.
Was
This
very
week
good.
was fucking terrible.
2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs down.
Disgusting.
I know that.
Like it's been longer than I feel like. I mean, if I don't know when you're watching this, but we're talking about the terrorist attack on the Capitol building, on the Senate and the Congress. And wow, when you said it, what a week, I'm like, actually, it hasn't even yet been, right? It feels like that happened ages ago, but it was literally like 5 days ago.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Dom, I always feel like when when just terrible things happen, I do follow a lot of people, but I always feel like the things that you post and the things that you share, and you don't just like make an Instagram picture post, you like will full on record a video and like talk to camera. I always feel like you are so right and you are so on point with the things that you bring up and point out. And that's a big reason why Sarah and I wanted to have you on today, because I do feel like you're such an advocate in our community for social change and awareness and accountability. And I was telling Sarah, just like unbeknownst to you, I'll just be on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and I'll see you comment on friends of friends posts and be like, hey, like, just so you know, like, don't post stuff like this, or like you take the time to really break it down for people in a way that I think people can hear and listen to. And I think that takes so much mental energy. And I want you to know that it doesn't go unnoticed or commended. And I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And, that's something that I try to do. I don't always succeed. I've certainly been like, I don't want to be like a troll, but I feel like, yes, you're right that type of activity, also depending on the nature of the context and who it is to me, it does take energy. And then I do feel like I have this line where I'm like, I'm just so tired, and I get tired of explaining to people. And then that's when it's like, unfollow. Like, I just don't need that type of energy. And I think, we hear a lot about bubbles in the lexicon of like modern discussions about, misinformation and how could something like this happen. And I want to be careful but thoughtful in describing how like not all bubbles are created equal, right? Because, and this is where, I feel like this is a theme that will fit into so many aspects of the discussion about analyzing the context and where power is, right? Because I'm trying to lovingly, maybe call friends in or jokingly call friends in a way to be like, hey, that's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why are you posting about that? Or that's too far and here's why. But at a certain level, if that doesn't go recognized or acknowledged, I'm very much about direct communication, which isn't necessarily communication type that a lot of people are comfortable with. Sometimes they take that as being like confrontational. And I don't know if you've read any of like the writings or seen anywhere like discussions of white supremacy as a culture, but that's certainly one of the components is if a person has an issue and they raise it in a way that is not deemed as like void of emotion, then it's often one of the reasons people will cite at like dismissing it. And you hear this with regard to like when someone has an interpersonal issue and they say like, well, you can make a complaint, like just don't give attitude, all the way up onto like, well, you can have a problem with the police, just like don't protest about it, right? So it's like this weird thing where people demand that thing that you're recognizing that I'm giving, right? Which is a courtesy that I give to people I care about, which is to tell them, if they've caused me harm in a way that can leave room for remediation. That's what I aspire to do. I don't always do it. Like sometimes, you know, like I do a lot of meditation and other internal work to make that possible. And then at a certain point, I think, I don't know if you saw what I was posting or what you're talking about, but there was a person from the comedy community who was like posting about the spelling error of capital with an O is what refers to like the seat of government for a society, and capital with an A is the building itself. I'm sorry, I'm reversing those two.
Yeah.
The O is the building. It's like theater versus theater.
Yeah.
Which is also an aspect of white supremacy culture. The worship of the written word and the emphasis on perfectionism are used as these tools to discount when someone says something like in a way that they don't like. So if I were to say like, if I were to come to you and, you know, maybe not speak English perfectly, does that make my point of view any less valid if I can't package it really well? Or if I'm not able to articulate myself in writing, you know, that's just a subtle thing. And then also it's just like, how could you comment on a spelling error when we're seeing like people threaten the lives of lawmakers who are simply trying to enact the will of the majority of people? There's so many layers to it, as well as the fact that not only are they enacting the will of the people, but they're enacting the will of the people who are in a system that was inherently meant to disenfranchise them, right? Like the Electoral College system was built at a time in our country to uphold the power of slaveholding states, to uphold slavery, right? So we had an unfair system that has worked really well to maintain inequality. And a lot of people have said like, oh, the system is broken. It's unfortunately not broken. It's working really well to do exactly what it was set up to do. And it is only like, it is only by hook or by crook that like a fuck ton of people, specifically like Black women, I'm talking like Stacey Abrams and many other unnamed community organizers, like the Angela Davises, the iconic people and the folks whose names we don't know, have been working for years to build political power in their communities and turn out votes, right? To even beat the system that was already unfair to begin with. And then even when we see them able to do that, all of us able to like come together and say like, in spite of these hurdles you put in our way to succeed and to have the will of the people to not take advantage of folks, to do something about all of these inequalities we've had for hundreds of years, to see that many people show up and think that it's like a steal or like that them inciting violence is on the right side of history. It's like, it really takes your breath away.
Yeah, it's literally insane.
Yeah, it's disgusting, and it's like it's nauseating, and it's I wish I don't know. I totally hear what you're saying exactly. Like, we've been kind of pushed. Our country has this history, and it has been perpetuated through many things. And especially now, everything is bubbling, but it's been there the whole time. And to then have someone take advantage of the ignorance. Sorry if there's a hospital near me, if you can hear that. To take advantage of this situation on social media and incite violence, and for people to just think it's the way to be and the way to go about this. Like, there has been something stolen somehow, or there has been something taken, when literally logically it has been proven that has not happened at all. It's been proven over and over again that there is no stolen election at all.
Right.
It's crazy. It's honestly, I think more than anything, it's terrifying. That's what
it's horrifying.
It scared me this week. I mean, the Confederate flag has never been flown inside our government buildings. And I grew up in the South. I grew up in Georgia. All this felt extremely personal to me. I posted so much about people voting in Georgia. Every time one of my friends posted that they voted and I knew they were voting blue, I would like share it in my status and tag them. Like, I was following all that so closely, and I was so excited when the state turned blue for the first time in my lifetime. and then for the rest of the day and the next day to be just people freaking the fuck out. And for everyone who is acting like they're protesting because they feel like the election was stolen, what does the Confederate flag have anything to do with that? Like,
it doesn't.
This was a racially motivated riot with terrorists who had guns and zip ties and put up a noose. And all these people who are saying like, oh, it wouldn't have worked. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I read a whole thread on Reddit that like, that's $300 worth of wood right there, that they would have had to bring power tools to assemble that. It would have been too heavy for them to bring it already made. They fucking brought wood and they assembled that there.
They're not union, and it would have fallen apart anyway. But yes, absolutely.
But everything that I read online was like that type of noose that they tied would have 100% worked. That it looks like a piece of shit, but it actually isn't. It's made by people who understand construction and fucking nooses. And I was like, if anyone isn't absolutely horrified by these events and posting about it, like, I'm sorry, I think you're racist. I think you're fucking racist. Yeah. And like, that's the point where I'm at with all of it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. They are racist. And the other aspect of that is like, I'm no expert on power tools, but I'm an expert on racism. I've seen how it's operated in my life. I've seen how it's operated in the lives of other people. I see how anti-Blackness makes possible the type of violence that puts my life and the lives of other people of color and white allies at risk. It's not a joke that white people have been killed because they've been identified as Antifa and because they've literally used their bodies as barriers and as protectors for Black and brown protesters who exercise the same exact rights that those terrorists were claiming to be enacting. Mm-hmm. But and this is what got me when I was watching the footage, and I've read about a lot of racism, so I know about it, and I'm very critical of the country all the time. I should also just say that I used to work for a member of Congress. I have been in those buildings, and I toured them with kind of like a reverence that I only see now in hindsight, because I really believed in what the member that I was working for was doing. She was the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And so I really have had a lot of faith in the electoral process, more and less at times, and especially now that's everything feels so tenuous. So I've been afraid for 4 years or more, but legitimately, I don't know if you can go back on my Instagram, but like my bangin' beach bod that I had like 4 years ago was literally me running and crying because I was like, I am afraid of Nazis. I'm literally afraid of Nazis harming myself and people that I know. And that's not in the abstract. Right after Trump was elected, a friend of mine was queer bashed and targeted for being a Black man by Trump supporters. So I saw the way that it was like, oh, this is like emboldening a particular type of white violence that we know, that we've seen. And yet, like, folks didn't take him seriously 4 years ago. I remember like sociology professors that I was in classes with being flummoxed. They're like, he's not going to win. How could they take him seriously? He's so racist. And I was like, have you been anywhere in the middle? Have you been in uptown or downtown? Like, I've seen racist shit go down in New York City. I've been called things like, there isn't a corner of the globe that you can go to where racism does not exist. Like, white supremacy is a global operating procedure for the world. And there's not a place you can go to escape it. But people just cannot fathom because their experience as white people shields them from it. And that's part of the privilege of it. And one of the things that I try to use as a teaching tool when I talk to students, I'm also an educator. You got to get health insurance somewhere.
Yeah,
totally.
Damn straight.
Right. But one of the ways that I like put it to them is like, okay, think about white supremacy this way. Can you go to see a movie starring someone who looks like you anywhere in the world? Can you find that?
Yeah.
Because I've never had that in my whole life. Rufio had like 5 minutes of screen time in 1992. right? And then Moana.
Yeah, I remember when you posted about Moana, and I honestly, every time I watch Moana with Nolan, I think about you, just because you talked about how much you loved it, and I love it too.
It's amazing.
And truly, and I'm so happy for Nolan and the next generation of children who will see a multitude of beautiful worlds that reflects the beautiful world in which we live. Right. And I'm literally, and it's interesting that we bring up Thailand at the top. That is the only fucking place I've ever been where someone thought I belonged there, which was a total mindfuck. Because I'm like, I am Mexican and Filipino as fuck, and I stand and I represent and I love those things. But when I go to the Philippines, people are like, where are you from? And when I go to Mexico, they're also like, you speak Spanish really good for like an 8. I don't know what you are. You're like, whatever. I'll give you a discount. But to be in Thailand, it was wild. Because like, if I didn't open my mouth, I was like, people are just coming up to me and talking to me in Thai, and shit is cheap.
Wow.
I don't want to mess this up. Like, but I don't
just nod a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did. And then I was like, I think now that I'm just silent and nodding, they think I'm either aloof, judgmental, or very simple. Like, they're just like, I think this girl is very simple.
Yeah, this is free for you,
though.
Yeah, exactly. It's free.
Yeah. It's like, yep. And then Jason would come up looking all Korean. He's not. He's Chinese, but like he looks like a K-pop star. And then the price would get jacked up. Okay.
Oh.
It's all Jason's fault.
Yeah, damn it, Jason. See, you should have just left him on the plane, sitting in the window or wherever he was.
aisle.
Yeah, what? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a bit of levity, right? But that's also like, I'm like, I don't get that, and depending on, and I can't go everywhere in the world. Maybe in Thailand, I could watch a movie that when I could be like, I kind of look like that homie, or maybe in like Hawaii or the Philippines. Actually, not even in the Philippines, the people on screen look white, so it's like. And this is kind of why white supremacy like prospers in that environment, because it makes invisible the fact that white experience is subjective, and it turns it into the objective fact, right? And that's what's going on with these like myriad of white supremacist and white supremacist aligned people of color. I mean, they're white supremacists. It's not mutually exclusive, right? You can be, unfortunately, a person of color and act very contrary to your own interests and double down on it with your life. Like it's
something.
It is.
It's really something.
It's really murky, and it's not new. There's this concept of racial capitalism, which isn't that widely discussed, but part of like the way white supremacy operates is it's not just like I can make movies about myself and you can't, but it's like I'm also going to reap huge economic benefits and create an economic underclass that is like sorted according to color. And even in the absence of like having Black individuals, that white supremacy is always anti-Black. And it's going to be like, it's going to be a top to bottom thing. And we're always going to be, if you're on the bottom, whatever color you are, and it's going to be a majority of people of color, but you're going to be fighting amongst yourselves, blaming each other. And also white people will get to blame all the other like brown folks for making them poor, and the fucking colonized minded ass Latinx and Asian folks are going to be pointing the fingers in opposite directions. And that is how hate prospers, and
absolutely
ignorance. And it's not just in the absence of knowing things, right? Because I used to really fondly hold to this notion that the people who surrounded me who were ignorant and racist, which were many, like I went to a high school in California where there was a Confederate flag kind of situation happening among like all of the monster trucks in the senior parking lot. Okay. Right. So that this is that kind of California. It was not like coastal elite really only applies if you can see the water. Right. So like, in that area, I was just like, oh, they're just uneducated. That's why they're this way. And then I went a little ways over to UC Berkeley, and I encountered really educated racist people. And I was like, what gives? What the fuck? And it's because people are, racism is not like a logical thing, right? If you actually look on the face of it and you look at the data around equality, it's like, this doesn't match up. Well, actually, I want to back it up a bit because sometimes people are like, look at the data. There are more Black and Latinx people in jail, therefore they're bad. But it's also like a fact. It's a
they're
factor
targeted, and they're
exactly
they're in a place that we've put them in as a country,
right? And
location wise, I mean, it's
exactly. And as we've seen now that we all, what is buzzing? Is someone calling me? Here, hold on. Sorry, I was like, as we've seen,
and the thing
someone's
is,
calling me.
I'm popular.
I know.
Remember.
I feel like I'm talking too much. Am I talking too
I
much?
feel like you're spitting facts, and you should keep it up. That's how I feel.
Sorry, that was all my fault.
I feel like you're spitting mad facts, and you're saying.
I was going to say, as we've seen. Oh,
sorry. Hold on.
Here we go. I'm back.
We're all adjusting.
Edit this out. Fix this in post.
But I was going to say, as we've seen, now that we all have cameras on our phone, that there is a huge amount of Black people and other people who are in jail for absolutely no reason. Now that we have literally ways to record the police as they're arresting people, you're like, they weren't doing anything. They weren't doing anything at all.
Or for things that are ridiculous, that if I had done them or my little brother or somebody had done them, he wouldn't be in jail. They'd be like, naughty, get on your way.
Exactly.
Like
all these people who, all these white terrorists in the Capitol,
straight up,
should be going to federal prison for 30 years.
And they killed a cop, which I thought Blue Lives Matter. I guess they don't matter unless you just don't want Black lives to matter. That's right. What it is.
That's not trending. That's not trending amongst the MAGA thing. I mean,
weird. You think it'd be trending if there was a murdered cop.
Right. Except for also maybe they took away like a few QAnon and presidential accounts. But like to what you're saying about like the policing, like in the way that happens, like there's this book. There it is. So this book is Slave Patrols by Sally Haddon. She's a historian who looks at the creation of policing practices and ties them to the practices of the posse in the South, and like how the idea of the pass, right? So like during slavery, if you were an enslaved person, you were a Black person walking around, you had to have a pass showing that you were allowed to be outside. And that is like the same fucking ethos that happens, right? To Black people, where it's like, who are you? Why are you here? I mean, I've talked to Lyft drivers where I just, I always talk politics because that's who I am. But, we'll get into conversations and they'll be like, oh yeah, I can't, there are certain areas of New York where I'm like, I can't fucking go pick up people there because I get hassled. It's like really annoying. And the same is true. Like, I don't know if you've seen Amber Ruffin's show. I highly recommend. Dope funny writer. Hire me if you're watching.
Do it, Amber.
Please, Amber.
We'll at her. Yeah.
I love you. But she talks in her comedy a lot about how she's been stopped by the police for just being outside her own house and how they didn't believe that she lived there. So, these are the types of things that happen. And it makes obvious like how much the police, right, are in line with white supremacy. I know, I just feel in my bones that more shit is going to come out with how those police officers got fucking left hanging there, how the National Guard order just got like slept on for 90 minutes. I'm like, some shit was happening there.
Right.
But even just to kind of see the way that the regard that is given to white-bodied people when they are committing acts of insurrection, when they are committing acts of terrorism, right? The police are set up to enforce laws that are founded in white supremacy, a system that is like founded on white supremacy, a system that upholds white supremacy, and they are a tool of that state. And it's not exaggeration to say that white supremacy is rampant among police departments. It's like, it's a thing. There are cases and cases and cases where police officers have like tried to report these things and they're like booted from the force. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was just a case in the New York Times about the person in the NYPD to whom you were supposed to report acts of discrimination was actively posting on message boards all kinds of racist and sexist vitriol.
Yeah, so I saw that.
It's wild, and I mean, this is what systemic is. It means that every aspect of this state, every aspect of our laws, every aspect of our culture has these things. And so, yeah, and okay, maybe I'm like talking big game, right? I feel like I'm talking about these things. I'm like, and I'm going to make an Instagram post about it, which is like, frankly, stupid. But it's also my way of like, you talk about these posts, Lindsay, and I'm so glad you get something out of them, because for me, it's just like therapeutic to be like,
sure,
this feels fucking crazy.
Right.
This all
well, we're all disconnected, especially in this world right now. What else how else are you going to speak on how you feel about the current situation and have actually people see it and honestly feel comforted that you feel like this is all just batshit crazy? Because honestly, when it was all happening, it was kind of like the feeling of like, should I feel this upset? I feel like I'm freaked. Like, this is unreal. I'm terrified right now. And it was I'm not saying it's nice, but it's really comforting to see other people, many people, the majority of the human beings that reside in this country see this as something horrific. And,
I read
enabled.
I read 45% of Republicans think that the march on the Capitol was warranted. So I really like, as much as I want to believe it's the few, like I feel like 70 million people in this country voted for Trump when he's done nothing for 4 years but spit hate about disabled people, about Mexicans being rapists, like all the quotes that he said. I'm like,
trans people can't be in our armed forces when they're dying for us, when you couldn't even do it yourself, bro, because of
he had heel spurs. He had heel spurs.
Your heel spur. Get the fuck
it just is like, as much as I want to be, I mean, I was in total shock that this happened this week. Like, it's been a long time coming.
Yes.
It's been planting these seeds this whole time they fired Steve Bannon a long time ago, but he was a psycho,
literally a white supremacist, literally a white, like, openly,
who was just whispering in Trump's ear, like, how do we take over America and turn it into what Russia is, basically a dictatorship. And it's scary. And Dom, like you saying, like, do I get something out of your post? Like 100%, 100% I do. And I think that, like, in times like these, we've been dealing with COVID almost a year now. Like, we were in France this time last year and they had COVID in France. So I guess it has been a year,
yeah.
You know? And so, like, there are limited ways that we can connect with people.
Right.
And express to people. Like, if I were to see you at the theater, I would be like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
But, like, we don't even get to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We just are in our houses, stuck in our houses, like just with our thoughts, watching the news, me ordering 2 fried quesadillas today, like, just emotionally eating. I am so fucking stressed out about America.
Right.
Yeah. And it should be, and I've been, just to be clear, I ordered 3 cookies and I cannot wait to get back to them.
Dope.
But like, I'm laughing. And when I write those things and I write essays and I put posts online, it is with this fury that needs to escape my body, because I understand that all this systemic inequality is meant to end my life sooner rather than later, as it is every other person of color, every disabled person, every immigrant. Like, I see the world as, like, causing death, and that's not a fucking abstract thing. The day Trump was elected, my mom had a heart attack and I thought she was gonna fucking die, because she is a permanent resident, she is not a citizen, and, like, I can't even begin to imagine an emotional world where she would have to get sent back to Mexico, a country she has not lived in since she was 4 years old. She's lived in this country that told her not to speak her language, not to practice her culture, and to, like, conform. So it's like, it would be devastating. And, like, so that going on with my mom, like, having a heart attack, with my friend being brutalized by Trump supporters, like, I literally was afraid for my life. And, more and fewer things have come along to be like, let's, amp up your anxiety or not. But I'm also very afraid of our country at this present moment, for all the reasons that you're talking about, and the way in which it feels like no matter what I do, there are certain folks for whom I will never be able to make them see me as a full human, And that's kind of the line where I'm like,
Yeah.
it is not worth my effort to talk to you. It will only make me sad, mad, or upset. Maybe there's another person who is Dalai Lama-like, who could have all of the compassion to work with you through your white supremacy, your sickness, and your adherence to this kind of hate that is very toxic. I think one of the phrases I like to use is toxic white supremacy, because people understand toxic masculinity in a way, but white supremacy or racism feels more like this thing that people haven't absorbed as like a way of being in the world. Not just like, I'm going to write, swastikas here and there, like not that type of direct action, but just like the way it shows up in my life with, folks discounting what I'm saying in the workplace. When it's like, let's talk about Black Lives Matter. And then like, do you really want to? Or am I going to say something real and vulnerable, and are you going to back off and not
or
really
qualify it?
Right.
Yeah. Or when I bring up the incidences of microaggressions in our workplace, are you going to just want to stop talking? Because to do the work of dismantling white supremacy in people's bodies is something that I don't know that everyone's ready for. And I'm going to plug another book because you
Why
love
not?
book.
Let's do it.
So this one is called My Grandmother's Hands, and this is probably showing up inverted because my screen is flipped. But it's by Resma Menaken.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's great. He talks about racialized trauma and how it shows up in the body. And what I really love about this book is he talks about how it shows up in the bodies of Black-bodied individuals, white-bodied individuals, and police and correctional officers. So if you know white people who are racist and they have even an inkling, I recommend it.
Wow.
And one of the ways that shows up, especially around racism, when white people are experiencing exposure to it, is like a constriction and like a need to protect. So that's like just a thing to notice, right? Like I've often like witnessed this in people where like I'll be talking to students about racism and like I see them kind of clench up, and it's like, oh, you are like going into a defense mode to protect yourself from what it might mean to benefit from racism.
Right. Wow. I think, I can't remember if you shared it or maybe it was Ex Mayo shared it, but it was a pyramid about white supremacy and white privilege. And I think that sometimes when people say like, oh, that's racist, people are like, well, I'm not racist. I'm not racist because of X, Y, Z. But it was a pyramid that explained like white supremacists are at the top, or we should say toxic white supremacists are like right at the top. And there are many other levels to white privilege and us denying things, to even something that I've never really thought about was optical allyship, where, just posting a Black Lives Matter square on Instagram, that isn't enough. We all need to be doing much more than that. And whether it's, if you have extra money to donate, whether it's having a weird conversation with your grandma, my grandma, my grandma is very conservative, but like even during all this stuff with George Floyd, I remember, I don't know how she saw it, but she was like, I saw the video for George Floyd. And I was like, oh yeah. And what do you think about it? And she's like, I thought it was awful. And I understand why everyone is marching about it. And I was like, wow, okay. All right. But when I try to talk to her about other stuff, it's not good.
Yeah.
But for some reason that actually seeing that video got through to her on some level. And I think it's just taking the time to have those weird conversations with people and finding ways that they could hear you. Like sometimes I honestly, if someone says something controversial or racist, I just will, it depends on my relationship to them, but sometimes I just will ask them questions until they sort of understand what they said was incorrect. And honestly, like I know that I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. We all say and do things that you shouldn't do or shouldn't say. I will use this example for myself, that when I first moved to New York, And I was the wokest person in my high school. I was probably the only Democrat with maybe 2 other people in my whole high school. I thought maybe when I first moved to New York 12 years ago that I had nothing to learn about being a liberal Democrat. And I went to Esper Studio, and I said to one of the girls in my class, we were talking about someone, I was like, oh, the girl that looks like a lesbian. She was like, what? I was like, the one that looks like a lesbian. She was like, Lindsay, I'm a lesbian. Do I look like a lesbian? I was like, nope. Noted. Oh. I will never say that again. You're right. I don't know what I was thinking. And so I think that sometimes we don't even know or realize certain patterns in our speech, the way we talk, the way we refer to things, until someone takes the time to say to you, what did you just say? And that was like a really big moment for me as a person, because I had lived 22 years of my life, and no one had ever told me not to say, that girl looks like a lesbian.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one way to do it. And that's that person who was able to talk to you.
She's still my friend.
Yeah. She did some emotional labor, right? She was able to manage her, however she might have felt, and then be like, oh, what the fuck, right? And that's a thing, right? Because like the friend the former friend who I was like, you're dead to me, like that's my limit. In this moment, I will do no more emotional labor for you is a big thing. And getting back to the other thing about like who you talk to and what we were talking about, what Sarah was mentioning just prior to this, like the bubble is not always equal. Right? Like, so me creating a bubble of people who are protecting me and insulating me from the caustic white supremacy that is abundant in every corner of the literal globe is not the same, right? Like I have PTSD. So in addition to like getting to be a woman of color, I also get to have a disability, which is dope in many respects because it gives me, or it's not dope that I've had the conditions that have created
insight though. Insight, right? I'm sure. Yeah.
But what I get from it is an amount of empathy to like understand suffering in other people and like how they might act out in ways that are about something else in their life. I'm not gonna like get too far into it or like diagnose whatever. That's not what it is. But
it's an experience that you've had that has informed you, and it's also like we're all who we are because of things that happen, and it seems like it's really given you the empathy to.
Yeah, but also like my fucking life is hard. Like I'm not gonna I don't need to deal with any more like trauma or things.
Sure enough,
compromising my immune system. And if it comes to like caucasity, I'm like, no. Wait, girl, are you just hearing this phrase for the first time?
I haven't heard that.
Okay.
Did you just say caucasity?
Okay.
That's a word of the day.
Yo, I'm sorry. Caucasity been around for a while. I'm sorry. It's just reaching you. I'm sure.
Now that's my ignorance. I have not heard caucasity, and I think the audacity.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, okay. But people of color who hear this word know exactly what it is, right? Caucasity. Is
I
prevalent.
get it.
So that was the thing that happened to me was like a moment of caucasity. I'm like,
sure.
You're going to correct the spelling error, but you're not going to comment about the racism. That's caucasity, right?
Cool. Yeah, cool. Caucasity. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But my point also is like, I love that people in my bubble who help me survive, right? Who
absolutely.
Liberate me. I don't need to keep trifling people who are making jokes about the wrong things.
No. Yeah. Because really, it's a job. It's like it puts the burden on you to have to fix other people. It's really not your job. And honestly, like we've heard excellent examples of people that have done that. And like you said, well, you just posting, you are doing that, but it's really about you expressing how you feel, so you don't feel everything all at once, and you're also able to talk. And I think that's excellent, because it isn't your job, but you are doing it effectively. But again, that's not just the goal. The goal is really you should be able to express yourself.
The other thing about when I do these posts, right, it's not for the people who aren't going to get it.
Exactly.
And this is also my approach to my comedy. I've done shows where I'm like, I'm going to talk about having PTSD. And most of the folks, their asshole's going to clench it. And they're like, I don't know if I can laugh about that. And I'm like, well, you can't because you're not laughing. But everyone who can, because they're on this boat, is laughing. And I'm doing it for them. right? Like it's like I'm creating a bubble for them and for me. And there's a difference between like, you know, like people talk about safe spaces, but they're also brave spaces where we're allowed to make mistakes, you know? So in all contexts, I don't necessarily want to keep everyone out of my bubble, but in specific ones I do. And like social media is one of those. But for my job, right, I go into classrooms and I talk about these issues. I talk about equality and like who gets discussion time, who feels most empowered to speak up all the time, and what's that about? Mm-hmm. Who doesn't feel just innately able to speak up all the time, and what's that about? And I have done that work with white students when they've said something that's kind of, it's in that vein of like, oh, you're making assumptions. The way I approach it, because it's my literal job and I'm getting paid to do this, is to say, on what experiences are you basing that? Mm-hmm. And put it back on them, and maybe not take it to them as a person, but to be like, what in your life or what in the world makes you think that that is the case? Like, what's your evidence for that? Because then it becomes a logic thing. And the same can be done with like racists and white supremacists. Mm-hmm. And there are other people who do this work, and they're, you know, God bless them. It's not for me, but there are plenty of people who go to like active white supremacists and try to like remove them from white nationalism. And bless them all day. Like, if you could give me their links to their GoFundMe, I will, you know, I support. But it ain't gonna be me. One, I'm too cute, and two, I'm very tired.
Yeah,
you're like I'm exhausted with this.
Yeah, like, I don't have time for that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Caucasity.
Caucasity. I'm never gonna forget that.
Yeah, never will I ever.
Y'all need it. Are y'all not on Black Twitter?
I am. I don't know why I am. Maybe
I am when they make fun of Jean-Marco.
No, are they dragging Jean-Marco? What Jean-Marco do?
Jean-Marco,
the cooking thing, right?
Yeah, Jean-Marco Ceresi, what you do, boy?
He posted a photo of some chicken and some peppers in a pan, and he had sliced through the sticker on the peppers. The sticker was on multiple parts of the peppers, and Black Twitter dragged him to hell. He actually got put on all these, like, people wrote articles about it because people's comments were so funny. They were really dead.
Funny, honestly. So.
I was absolutely dead.
Because even as someone from the South who cooks, like, it pissed me off. So I can only imagine. Yeah, they dragged him to filth.
He needs help.
Did he do that as a bit, or was he legit on his like label?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lindsay. You would know better than me.
Yes,
I think he did it, right?
He did it and didn't realize it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. I could see that.
Yo, who's gonna post a janky food pic like that? Only Jean-Marco.
Yeah, I know. I live. Oh my god.
Bless his heart.
Bless.
But you guys have said like this is not my job. But my funny thing is like this is also now my job because like so I'm co-founding a theater, which is Circle Comedy Theater.
Yes, great. I was just about to bring that up.
Oh, great! Beat you to the plug.
And who are you founding it with?
Yes.
Oh, really great people. Legina Hill, Cypher Sounds, Audrey Stanfield, Molly Gaby, and Zach Willis. Like really lovely folks. And I'm going to be the project manager for diversity, equity, inclusion, and inclusion and accessibility. Excuse me. So I'm going to be the project manager for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So I'll be working to like look at our curriculum and our practices and make sure that they're in line with our values and our mission, of which like social justice is a huge part, and combating oppression in all its forms, and that phrasing is very specific because a lot of people will talk about like, we're going to combat racism and sexism and gender, like hierarchies. And the reason I talk about it in terms of like oppression in all its forms is because I know that it's a process of discovering what we are missing out on, like what are the things we don't know yet, or what are the things that I need to think through and do my homework on and make sure that I'm going to be as anti-oppressive to everyone as I can be and learn where are my blind spots, right? So it's like, it's great when you have someone to be compassionate to you and tell you, hey, what you did hurt me, but I would love to exist in a world where people are emotionally attuned enough and critically thoughtful in a way where I don't ever have to experience that. And I don't want people that I worked with ever to feel like they've been diminished as a human in any way. And I certainly don't want that for myself. I want to create spaces that make me feel good and make other people feel like fucking amazeballs.
Yeah. That's something like when I first like start taking classes at UCB, like what, in like 2011, I guess, or maybe before, no, 2011, when I would go to these house team shows, I'm like, it's all white dudes, like, and a couple of white girls. So it's like, there's only like one girl on each team. It's a white girl. Like it's something that I noticed as soon as I started taking classes there. And over time that started to shift, but it was like, it took a conscious effort, not to like call out UCB, but it seemed like it took a conscious effort for them to do better before that started to change, as opposed to just going to a show for the first time and being like, ooh, there's like all white people in here.
That's been a problem for so long. And I have a lot of thoughts about that place. So I'm just like, sure.
No, and for sure, like who you see on stage is definitely a part of it.
Sure.
But also like the power dynamics at play between that team, between their directors. Because I've been a director. I've been in many different capacities. I've also been like an improv coach. We talked about that up top.
Which you were a great improv coach, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. I'm also an educator, so I really take like teaching very seriously. I think it's like kind of a sacred duty.
It really is. Like in all sense of the word, it absolutely is.
Duty.
Yeah.
It's a sacred duty. That's how you know. But I've been in improv practices where like, this is not a fucking joke. And like, I couldn't write this as a more pathetic scene where a black man initiates a scene with a clear game. His white teammate, a man, tags him out, initiates another scene with the same game. And I'm like, hold on. Why don't you let him get a few more beats out of that instead of making it a tag run? Like, right. And so that went down. And, and I had worked with this team long enough, and I was like, we're short on time. I want to give you some notes on what you should work on. You should need to create more space instead of like, tagging out your teammates as soon as like they have things instead of, and like you've also talked over a few of your women teammates, so you need to work on that. Yeah. This person was the head of a theater in New York City, a white man who headed up a theater school in New York City. Followed up with me on Facebook to tell me that my notes were off basis and I needed to explain them. And I'm like, this is the first time someone's told you and given you the feedback that how you are in the world hurts them, because you have power over everyone else in your vicinity. So if they are to tell you this, you're not gonna like want to hear it, and you're gonna maybe limit their opportunities. And sure enough, I only found out this person was the head of the theater school when I inquired at the theater about classes. Oh, and that email, it was so sassy. I was like, all right, cool. I'm not going to go there, but you're not a safe space. But this is prevalent. It happens in my work. It's happened in workplaces where bosses thought they were doing a great job and they weren't. And like people felt bad, but they can't speak up because there's power.
Right. It's cool though that it's cool that you're.
That's why you're here. You're not here. It's an audio medium, even though it is visual now.
Well, yeah. I feel like the internet connection is not good. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You cut out for
just
a second.
You just moved like this a little bit, but we hear you.
Okay. Okay. Good.
You're just magic. That's really what it is.
I was gonna say it's so cool though, Dom, that you get to be a part of a new theater from the ground up. Right. Love Zach Willis so much. Like Audrey is incredible. Like all the people you listed, I know, and it just is so cool that you get to start something fresh, and you guys build it how you want to build it. And you know,
I will say it's a lot of work, and it should be. Right. I often think like, how did the UCB because that's my reference point, because I was such a part of that theater for such a long time. How did they do this? And then I'm like, did they do this? I don't think that they didn't have these discussions that we're having.
No, they hired an HR person, not to just shit on UCB, but they hired an HR person like the last 3 months before like everything started shutting down. It's like, no, you need like HR from the beginning, I think.
Yeah. From like day one, I would say. But we learn from others, overlookings, I would say mistakes, you know what I'm saying? And also like you guys, like Lindsay said, this is so powerful. And this, just the fact that you're doing this, and And like you said, teaching is sacred. This is a teaching thing. You are going to be able to communicate with others through art and through creation. And what a beautiful way to do it, especially right now. I think this is imperative. It's always been imperative, but it's especially imperative.
Yeah.
And I'm happy you're doing it.
Thank you. And you wouldn't know it from like as much I've been like the man and violence and racism, but I am really funny.
Oh,
She's so funny. And she's a good writer.
I know you're funny.
Okay. I feel like
Yeah.
I need to like do a tight two real quick.
It's fine. Just
ready?
Just start doing just do some whatever.
This is
you
me
want,
shoveling.
like, prop
Ready?
humor.
Go.
Yeah, you ready?
Girl, I was talking about a stand-up too. I don't know what these like object work things are.
I'm just going. Did you see what I did? And I learned this at UCB. I just yes-anded Lindsay. I just started digging too. You know what I'm saying?
No more of that. You can find us
no more digging.
online at circlecomedy.org and
yes. Say that again for the people on the back. Where is this at?
Circlecomedy.org on the interwebs and Instagram. I believe we're Circle Comedy NYC.
Circlecomedy.org. Official.